The most important part of every engine swap is mounting the engine. If you're watching this and thinking, didn't he post a video of him bolting the 2JZ in? Why would he need to build new engine mounts? Honestly, the mounts I had, they just kind of sucked. I bought the mounts from a guy online and they never quite fit right. Since no one really makes a bolt-in kit for this swap, my options are to pay a fabricator $800 to mount this engine for me or do it myself. On this channel, I kind of pride myself in saving money. So instead of paying that $800 to the fabricator, I spent $2,400 buying tools and spent about 2 weeks attempting to do it myself. So what's wrong with the old mounts? Well, to dive into this, we need to understand what an engine mount does. And I know this sounds simple, but just follow me here. An engine mount needs to hold the engine in position. Engine mounts need to be removable. They need to act as an isolator between the engine and the chassis. To better explain this issue, imagine the engine as this pool of vibrating metal. Everything this pool of vibrating metal touches also vibrates. The best way to contain the vibration is to isolate the vibrating dirty metal from the clean unvibrating metal. The way the old mounts were designed is they had a large bolt and nut running through a rubber isolator vertically. When you tighten the bolt down, the mount that is attached to the engine and the mount that is attached to the chassis form a rigid connection. The problem with that is that the dirty metal has a way to touch the clean metal by sending vibrations through that bolt. Basically, imagine the engine as your creepy uncle and the chassis as the friend your little sister brings around. The bolt would be the 3 glasses of bourbon your uncle had before showing up. A more ideal design would be for the bolt to run horizontally through the rubber isolator. In simple terms, no metal from one side is touching the metal from the other side. So, cool. We know how the engine mounts work. Where do we place the engine? The better question is, will the engine and transmission combo fit? First step is to attach the two. That's where these cool new parts come in. I picked up a Collins adapter plate that comes with everything I need to make the C009 and the 2JZ together. The way the Collins kit works is it bolts onto the 2JZ using the stock 2JZ transmission bolt positions. Meanwhile, it has threaded holes for the C009 bell housing. What this means is no cutting the bell housing on the transmission. So if I need to swap the transmission out, I can just pull the transmission out and put the new one in. With the spacer being used, there is more distance between the input shaft of the transmission and the clutch. So, with the kit comes a wider flywheel. The wider flywheel allows me to use the stock off-the-shelf clutch for any C009. There are other options to adapt a 2JZ to a C009, and honestly, I just need to ask someone smarter than me. This is an iPhone. Not only is this an iPhone, this is an iPhone with 3 cameras. And this 3-camera iPhone also has an app store. And on that app store, there is an app called Recon 3D. Recon 3D is an app that is subscription-based and allows you to use your iPhone to scan items in the real world and create something called a point cloud. A point cloud is just a series of hundreds of measurements taken, and it creates this item in 3D space. The way the Recon 3D works is it uses LiDAR and photogrammetry to calculate 3D locations of different points in the thing that you're scanning. If I recall correctly, the subscription is somewhere around $500 a year, but I think there may be a free trial. This is definitely not a sponsorship by any means. I just think that this app is kind of cool and I use it a lot. Play with these point clouds that Recon 3D spits out. I use a free application called CloudCompare. The whole point of getting these point clouds is to make sure that the engine fits without having to find out physically. This saves us the time where I can play with it in the AC and not have to worry about crawling up under the car and seeing what's banging. Step 1 is to upload and clean your point clouds. Recon 3D will be way more accurate if you use a reference tape while scanning. You can clean the point cloud with the little scissors icon. You just click around, you kind of lasso all the things you don't want, and you hit the garbage can and gets rid of the points that are gone. Using the red arrows, I can rotate the engine to see if it fits in the vehicle. I prefer to use the coordinates in the bottom right hand corner, X being from the front of the vehicle to the rear of the vehicle, Y being from the driver's side to the passenger side of the vehicle, and then Z being from the ground to the ceiling of the vehicle. You can see how I'm kind of dragging things to the top of the screen here to make sure that they're lined up straight. This is to make sure that the car isn't tilted a little bit in reference to these directions. You can cut away portions of the point cloud to see if everything lines up well. Luckily I did this because the first scan, there were these heat shields in the engine bay, and that was preventing the engine from sitting further enough back to clear the bottom subframe. For this video, me playing with the point clouds is sped up. It looks like 30 seconds in real time, but honestly I really spent a couple hours playing with it and positioning the engine to make sure there was enough room, making sure the engine was centered. I threw in the differential behind everything to make sure everything lined up well, and I'm happy to say I will not have to cut any of my firewall to make this huge CD009 fit. Once I get it finalized in CloudCompare, it's time to make it happen in real life. After this, it was just making sure the engine was straight. And then I purchased the mounts that we'd be using. And of course, I purchased the engine mounts for an LS instead of a JZ. So here's Sally. Sally got a flat tire. Sally's having trouble removing her lug nut so she can change her flat tire. Is it because A, Sally's weak, B, Sally's turning it the wrong way, or C, Sally is not creating enough torque? Now let's pretend it's not B. Next to her is Mary. Mary also got a flat. Mary loosens her tire on the first stride. Is it because Mary's fat, or is it because Mary made enough torque? This simple theory that we're talking about is called torque. The reason why this is important is when we are creating our engine mounts, we are creating a large moment arm. Basically, any small force up high on the engine mount will translate into a big force down low. Easiest way to prevent some type of catastrophic failure from happening is just to add some gussets and measure some points.